I spent $130,995.35 testing a funnel you've never heard of. And in today's video, I'm going to break down why I did this, exactly what happened, what the return was, how the funnel works, the biggest lessons I had learning in this process so you don't have to. Having said that, let's jump right in. So as we can see, two different kind of searches in terms of campaigns here from January 16th to June 20th, 2023. And then obviously June 23rd here as well. Same time span, $55,000 here, $75,000 here, which totals up to, you guessed it, $130,995.35. So what was the ROI on this? Well, this had $230,000 collected in the Stripe account. We have another $97,902.83 collected in the active campaign attributed email revenue, which totals $328,902.83. But the cherry on top here is the same time period, a email list built to 209,000 email contacts, which is a free added bonus. So before I jump in, I want to give you a little bit of background in terms of who I am to give you some reference. So my name is Kai. I worked directly with Patrick McDavid for 4 years, helped him grow content from 0 to 400,000 subscribers on a specific channel, built the email list to 260,000 subscribers through quiz funnels and segmentation, which is what we're breaking down today, and generated over $6 million in e-commerce / digital marketing revenue, as well as produced over 500 pieces of long form content that gladly live on Valuetainment's YouTube channel till the day today. So the challenge and what we were doing and why this funnel was created, right? So what we were doing is we were trying to run ads for an expensive in-person business event that was 8 months out, right? And normal funnels have the typical normal issues that we see. So high cost of acquisition, low engagement, inefficient qualification, lack of personalization, and then obviously that this is presented in an interruption way of doing marketing, right? So given that this event was 8 months out and we were targeting cold traffic and normal sales funnels have all these issues, I quickly realized that simply increasing ad spend, targeting a cold audience of non-buyers was not the most efficient way of selling out this event. Now, before I dive into the exact details of what I did, let me first explain to you how this funnel differs from anything you've ever built before. So, as you know, a typical sales funnel is a direct to sales page. You have 100 visitors, X amount of people buy, and then the rest of the traffic is kind of gone in terms of a dispersed, it just simply didn't convert, right? Where a quiz funnel differs, which is what we built out, is that it's a more indirect, value-based funnel approach. So what you do in this case is you channel the same 100 people into a quiz, say you capture 40 of them through the quiz itself, and then you now have 40 emails and 40 people that go into the next phase of seeing the sales pages, which are customized, personalized, and they go into individual email flows, which over the long term ends up creating more buyers, and you have the opportunity to retain the people and ultimately sell them on the back end later for the same or a different offer. Now, odds are you're thinking, okay, cool, I get this new approach. What is going on? Like, tell me what exactly the funnel looked like. What were the numbers? What was the data? So let's do exactly that. Here is the exact quiz funnel structure as far as this worked. So we had a simple landing page that people would land on. At that point, they would go through the quiz, question by question, answering, kind of learning what drives them to success, at which point at the end, they would get redirected once we capture their email to different outcome pages. And what's unique about these outcome pages is they have separate headlines, BSLs, and individual copy for each of these results, as well as individualized email flow sequences for each of the results. And if you look at it, we sold a $39 training, which was custom to the quiz result they got. So if they got outcome 1, they would get training for outcome 1, right? So it's very personalized and unique. Now, the first upsell that we had on this was a bundle of the courses, because there's 4 courses, and the sales process was like, okay, cool, you bought the first one, awesome, but guess what? Not everyone's going to be like you are. So in order for you to get the most out of this, we've bundled the 4 different ones. So instead of paying a one-time fee of $39 for your training, you can get all 4 for $99 as an upsell, right? The average order value was $67, meaning on average, people spent $67 in the process here. So as you can imagine, the take rate on the first upsell was extremely high as far as converting and driving more cash in the door in the beginning, so you can offset more of the ad spend and ultimately scale more aggressively. And if we look at some of the numbers here, what I want to show is we can see here from the different tabs, visitors, participants, completions, opt-ins, which means completions just means they got to the end of the page. Opt-ins means they added their email, right? Then we see the percentages. So anywhere from 30 to 40% of people consistently that landed on the visitor on the landing page ended up opting in. And if you look at the people who started the quiz, most of the time, north of 50 to 60% of those opted in on a daily basis. And if we look at the rest of the numbers here, just in terms of what we're seeing, ad spend anywhere from $1,000 a day to $300 to $400 a day. Cost per clicks, you have cost per opt-ins sub $1, and then you have the sales, right? So revenue per opt-in, this is measured in a way of we had revenue per opt-in and we had cost per opt-in, right? So we're paying 79 cents to get somebody opt-in. Average for that day was $1.49 per opt-in. So as you can see, net sales in terms of profitability on the column here, 700 this day, 700 this day. And on top of that, we're gaining 1,000 new subscribers, 1,300 new email subscribers. So consistently, the business is growing profitably with an email list that is growing profitably. And as you can see in terms of sales here, with the uptake on the upsell rate, is phenomenal for offsetting the cost of ad spend. And what we see here is these are just kind of the stats as far as how people were answering the questions and what they were going through. And 95 to 99% of people are answering all these questions when they go through it. And you can see this question has been answered 114,000 times. So like there's a lot of people that have gone through here and ultimately built that process. Now, what did this look like? Obviously, we were able to turn $130,000 in ad spend into $328,000 while building an email list that was over basically 250,000 people in a matter of 6 months, right? And I've shown you the specifics of how this funnel worked, but what I want to show you is the strategy on a deeper psychological level, so you have the full understanding and can build out something like this for your business. So the way it works from a overarching standpoint is you have the online traffic. At that point, you're pushing people to take a quiz, right? So when they're seeing your ad, they're seeing your creative, they're seeing your organic content, they are thinking, why would I interrupt what I'm doing in my day to go check this out, right? The idea there is, well, we're selling them on the concept of go take this quiz, right? Why do people want to take a quiz? 2 things, curiosity and self-discovery. They want to learn about themselves. They want to get a better understanding of what's going on. Like maybe there's something I don't know. Maybe there's a blind side that they can teach me, right? Once they complete the quiz, it goes into 2 different steps. 1, obviously you've captured their email. But number 2, more importantly, you've captured data, right? We talk about how data is the most important thing in today's society in terms of like, oh, data is the new oil, but nobody is collecting data. Nobody is collecting data. And that's like, it's a shame because this is the most powerful thing that can feed your AIs, that can feed your agents, that can fuel your process, but nobody's collecting this. So what we do in this process with this funnel structure is you collect the data, right? You're gathering all of it. And then from there, you're guiding them to the next logical step. So if you have a qualification within it, the people who are unqualified, you can downsell, you could give them free content, you can avoid selling them, right? And then what you could do here is if you have one product, you can sell to it in different ways. If you have multiple products, you can send people differently. So depending on how they answer the quiz, they can get free content, they can get paid trainings, they can get live master classes, events, masterminds, whatever you name it, they can be structured. But you now know people on an individual path in terms of where they're going, right? So if we look at it in something like this, the idea is you're taking your social media traffic, you're pushing it into your email, and on the social media, whether it's paid or it's organic, you're pushing it into your email. And in the process, you're learning your customers' pain points, their archetypes, their qualifications, and their price points in terms of where they're at. So instead of trying to tell people, hey, here's my product, this is what I sell, take it or leave it, you're now selling people where they're at, to what they want and what they need, which is what I call the offer consideration stage. At this point, you're now putting people together because you've learned what they're saying in the quiz to now put them together with their need in terms of, okay, Mr. John Doe, based on your pain points, your archetypes, your qualifications, and your price points, offer number 2 is correct for you. At which point you put them into the decision stage. So no, you're no longer offering them, here's what I have, pick off the menu. It's now a lot more specific in terms of, okay, John, based on what you told me, here is what is the right choice. It's a consultative way of selling. Now, there's 2 components and benefits of this process. Number 1, you're individualizing it a lot more to the consumer and the customer you're going after. And 2, you're positioning yourself with authority in the process because now you're teaching them, you've provided them guidance. So when you're selling, it's no longer a pushy, hard sales. It's a lot more consultative approach because it's like, hey, John, based on what I know about you in this process, this is the right product. So it becomes, having a quiz funnel is like having a salesperson at scale, taking in these conversations, learning about the prospect and providing the right solutions around the clock at scale for free. And like I mentioned here, you have the borrowed traffic, you push it into the owned, and you retarget it with the paid, right? And you might be wondering, like, okay, cool, you have this list of 250,000 emails, like whatever, because they are probably crappy contacts, or like, why does this matter? Let me tell you here. So here's an example of a list that is sent to 136,000 people, right? 40% open rate. That means 50,000 people opened this email within this time span in a very short amount of time, like in a day, and we reached 50,000 people directly. And when you even segment, which I'll get into later, you see here, this is an 18,000 person send, 67% of people are opening. This is direct contact to 12,000 people, right? So was it worth it? What are my biggest takeaways? What are the big learnings, right? Should you do this? Okay, cool. Let's get into it. So the big thing about this is you're taking a more indirect approach versus a direct approach, right? Let me tell you what this means. So a typical sales funnel, it has these levels of awareness, which in marketing terminology is basically like how familiar are someone with your product or your solution and how ready are they to buy, right? So at the top, you have most people, which are unaware, right? That level of awareness is they need awareness, right? Then you have a level deeper where it's interest, which these people are problem aware in terms of they're trying to figure out, they know that they have a problem. They don't know the solution yet, which is the consideration stage as far as solution aware, right? And then you have the intent and purchase, which are product aware and most aware. The majority of marketers spend the majority of their time in these 2 phases, right? It's the low hanging fruit that you can go after. You can say, hey, I have this phone, it costs this much, here's a deal, go buy it, right? Super simple, level 1, if you think of advanced sophistication, right? They're ready to buy, they're interested, they just need a reason to push it over the edge. A lot of people make a lot of money in just these 2 stages, but the challenge with this is once you get to a certain point, you want to scale beyond that. And that is where it becomes much harder, because if you're trying to run the same ads or the same funnel structure for people that are intent or purchase aware to people who are problem aware or not even interested, they need more education. They need more understanding. They need more nurturing, right? So here's how the quiz funnel differs. You have at the top, which you see here is wider, is the curiosity and self-discovery, because here you can target people who are unaware and problem aware based on the way you position the quiz in this process, right? So the way you're positioning this funnel and the hook in the angle is going to lure people in, which are your ICP, because it's speaking to them, right? It's joining the conversations they have in their head, and it makes it feel like, oh crap, this person read my mind, or I'm unsure about something, but this resource, aka the quiz, is going to provide me some insight or self-discovery. Now, once they take the quiz, they get to the data collection and segmentation phase as they're answering the questions. Now, me as the funnel operator and builder behind this, I'm learning about the prospects. I'm getting an understanding of what are their pain points, their archetypes, their qualifications, and their price points. How can I use this information that I'm getting in the information gathering stage to sell them more efficiently? So what do? You provide them a personalized outcome. Then with the personalized outcome, it's here's your results based on what you told me in the quiz. So the example of this would be the old school, you go into a store, the store clerk asks, what are you looking for? And then you say, like, say I'm at Levi's, and I say, I have, this is the archetype in terms of the flavor that I like. I don't like skinny jeans and I don't like baggy jeans. And the price point I'm willing to spend is $100 for a new pair of jeans. And I'm a 30 by 32. That's my size. So it's price point, qualifications, and specifications, right? Awesome. He is then going to remove all the skinny jeans, remove all the baggy jeans, remove all the jeans that don't fit my size, and he's now narrowed down the platter to where I'm getting a personalized offer. It says, hey, John, based on, or hey, Kai, based on what you told me, here are the jeans that fit you. Here's the size that fits you. Awesome. So not only in this funnel structure are you providing a personalized outcome, a personalized offer, but also a personalized customer journey, because not all people need to be nurtured the same way. Because when you don't know why people are coming to your website or what they're looking for your product, you have no understanding. It could be speed, it could be efficiency, it could be guarantees, it could be risk reversals. Like there's so many various components. You don't know what people value, right? I always use this example of say I'm a coach, say I'm selling fitness products, right? And my avatar or ICP is people who want to get in shape. Now, there's two simple questions I can ask, which is going to have a completely different understanding of how I need to market to these people and what I tell them. One question would be, are you male or female, right? Totally different, because women have other values. There's other body parts. There's other things they find important compared to men. So I ask, that's layer one question. Now, the layer two question for this is, are you trying to lose weight or are you trying to put on weight? In terms of, are you skinny trying to put on more muscle, or are you what you think is more heavier than you should be trying to lose weight, right? If you know just those two questions, the way you talk to someone is completely different. So that is what this funnel type does, in the sense of it's now personalizing their customer journey based on the outcomes they get. What does this lead to? Well, obviously, increase in sales, because this is where the second biggest thing I learned is this segmentation truly is everything, right? What does segmentation mean? Well, it means taking a cohort of people who are similar and putting them in smaller categories, right? This could be done in so many ways. It could be done in this case, like what color is their favorite, right? So you put the blue people with the blue people, and then you talk about how your product is great for blue people, or if you have the orange or the green people. And what this does, simply on a basic email, it increases your revenue by 760% in terms of proper segmentation. It increases your open rates by 65%, and it increases your click-through rates by 50 to 100%, because now you can be more specific. You can tell the orange group, which is the men who want to lose weight, how your program is great for men that want to lose weight. You can tell the blue people, that are the men who want to put on weight, that your program and your coaching is phenomenal for people who are skinny trying to put on weight. You can talk about how John, your case study, was skinny. He came to you, he tried everything, and then he put on 20 pounds, and now he's shredded and he has big muscles. You could talk about how Daniel, who was overweight, struggling, started working with you and now has lost a tremendous amount of weight, right? Segmentation is everything. The more you segment, the better your messaging, the more money you make. Simple as that. Next thing, which is huge, that I really learned through this funnel specifically, is that the aspect of value-based nurturing, right? Now, what does this mean? Well, different people at different stages need different resources in order to move forward and make an educated decision, right? Let me explain. If we take an example of a plant, in the beginning, you can water it all you need, but if there's no seed there, it's not going to go anywhere. So what do? Well, you first plant the seed, Then you water it to let it sprout. Then you water it a little bit more and it becomes a seedling. And then once it matures, it becomes bigger. And then it's flowering. And then you need to move it out of the pot and put it into the woods or grass or whatever, right? It's different stages need different resources in order to flourish and move to the next stage. If you think of this as the sales process, in a quiz, if you know their price point, their pain points, their archetypes, and their qualifications, you know how immediately this is. For some people who are just shopping around and it's not as important, you don't need to aggressively push them. You can educate them more. For people who are later in the funnel and ready to buy, you just need more urgency. You need more scarcity. You need to push them more because they're closer in the maturity level to getting to the purchasing decision. Value-based nurturing is the fastest way you can get people from knowing about you to buying from you because you're speaking their language. You're making it understood that you are the person that can help them. And knowing about people specifically with what you learn about them in the quiz funnel is what allows you to do this. Because if not, it's just, hey, first name, generic email, call to action to buy. That's it. And that doesn't work at scale because, again, you're working with colder audiences, with less people who want to buy and are more hesitant. Last thing, which is extremely powerful as far as it comes to the marketing. So much that 99% of people, I can almost guarantee it, if you're watching this, like you right there, I can guarantee it, you're leaving money on the table by sleeping on email. Like, I know for a fact, like you in there, you're sleeping on email. Like, send more emails. Sending more emails equals more money. Sending emails that are segmented equals even more money. Sending more emails that are more segmented more often equals much more money. So send more emails. And I was on a call with Alex Ramosi earlier this week, and he talked about, he was going through socials and he was talking about all these channels and ads and this and that and the other. And he was like, stop for a second. The best platform to generate revenue for any business, period, is email, period, exclamation mark, by none, by far. End of conversation. And people are like, what do you mean? Like email, like why? And he goes, trust me, I feel stupid. Like Alex Ramosi knows a thing or two about email marketing. He spent the first 10 years of his career never emailing anyone ever, only to realize in hindsight that he has left hundreds of millions of dollars on the table because he neglected this. And he told us that 25% of his revenue generated at acquisition.com comes purely from email. And think about this. He has millions of YouTube subscribers. He has tens of millions of social media followers. He can spend hundreds of thousands, if not millions, on ads every month. 25% of his revenue comes from email. How insane isn't that? And let me show you another example here to kind of further clarify this. Email versus social media followers, what converts, right? So there was a study done by Neil Patel, who's a famous marketer, where they asked agencies and marketers, would you rather have 1,000 followers or 1,000 email subscribers? And most people said followers in terms of like paid ads, views, eyeballs, this, that, and the other. Then they looked at, okay, cool. How much are 1,000 followers versus 1,000 email subscribers worth? And like, if I could I'd basically just cover this part. Now, obviously you've seen it, but the idea is social media followers are worth like $79 per 1,000 social media followers per month. That's the value of it. Okay, cool. Email subscribers per month for 1,000 email subscribers is worth $580 something. 7 times more revenue for email subscribers versus social media followers. Insane difference, right? Why? Because it's personal, it's direct, it converts, right? And big creators and business owners know this. Social media and ads, it's algorithms. You shut it off, boom, it's done. Don't get reach. Emails, like it doesn't matter. You send an email, it's going to get into 99% of inboxes every time. That's the way it is. There's no algorithms. There's no paywall. There's no ad platforms. There's nothing in between you and the audience of your subscribers. This is why it's powerful. And this is why it drives revenue, right? So Once you understand how powerful email marketing is in combination with segmentation, it really makes sense why some of the biggest creators and entrepreneurs in the space have already started utilizing this type of funnel, right? What type of people? Obviously, Alex Hormozi is using a funnel structure like this with his $100 million scaling roadmap. Justin Welch is using a quiz like this with his online business readiness assessment. Jay Klaus, he has a personalized creator roadmap. Sahil Bloom, he has a wealth type assessment, which he launched in conjunction with his book. You have Ali Abdal, who has the YouTube growth quiz. And then you have the quiz I built out for Patrick Bet-David, who is the personality type quiz. That concludes the breakdown of the funnel I spent $130,995.35 testing. Now, if you want to learn more, click the first link in the description to book a time to speak to me to see what it would look like for me to help you build out a quiz for your business. Or if you're just curious about what it would look like to have a quiz in your business, not fully ready, click the second link in the description. And what I'll do is fill in your information, and I will personally build out 3 different quiz angles for you in 48 hours for free, so you can see what it would be like to kind of position a quiz into your business. Regardless, I hope you enjoyed this content. Feel free to click on the link. And if you're curious about what these funnels look like for other creators, I made a full breakdown for Ali Abdal's funnel, which you can see right here.